interesting predicament. And so when spring came, I got into a little bit of trouble again. It had been the first time in a long time that I had gotten into some trouble, and this is where my foundation with like Scripture and God really came into play. And I went to a home that I used to live in, where the one that I had signed my lease over, and got out of the house. And I went back and I found a key. I found a key in the past couple of days that was to the basement. I never turned it in or forgot about it or whatever it was. And so I walked over there on a whim, and I was like, man, I wonder if they're there. Maybe I'll be able to talk to them, apologize. I was reminiscing. And so, stupid enough, I used the key to get into the property, and they weren't there at all, but there was a young man that had taken my room. You know, I mean, he didn't take it from me, but I kind of like gave it to him, and they kind of gave it to him, and it was a whole ordeal in a sense like that. And so I got charged with this burglary, right? By entering into an occupied structure, you ultimately are guilty of a burglary at that point. And so I went to jail, and when I went to jail, I had been reading a book, not the Bible. I didn't read the Bible, although I read the Bible every day now, most days. I read a lot of other things too. I do like to read the Bible. So the thing was there was this book called Breaking the Chains, right? And it spoke heavily about bondage. And before I had ended up going to jail, I was a pothead, and you know, I was super lusty. My little girl's mother and I were just in this relationship, to my mind, and how I looked at things as just sex, and that's all it was. And so I didn't really know what to do. And so I'd been reading this book, man, and I had this legal pad, and I just started jotting down these notes, and it just clicked in my mind one day, like, man, I'm in bondage, you know, like my life is ruined. I've officially gone off the deep end, and by going off the deep end, I can never repair any of this. I can't fix this at all. My life is ruined, you know. The mistake that I made when I was a young man, although that's sealed as a juvenile, right? You can't really go and look that up. Although some police officers, they can't see that, but there's a lot of gossip being passed around concerning Andrew. And so because that's happening, you know, I'll get police that kind of harass me sometimes. And I'm okay with that, you know, any day, any time. We've already been down that road. So, I love the law, but when it comes to, depending on what city I'm in at this point, if it's DC or if it's New York and even Chicago, I have much more respect for the police departments in those cities. Chicago, I'm kind of, you know, this Laquan McDonald thing is really kind of, I had a rant about that one a couple days ago, and I almost scared this young woman because I was talking about how this Laquan McDonald case should end, you know, what should happen. But that doesn't matter. It matters, but, you know, in the Bible it says to King David, be still and be quiet. Don't concern yourselves with matters that are above you. And so therefore, you know, I stick to the roots of things, and that's kind of my life story and my testimony, and, you know, my thoughts and feelings on how I've lived my life and how other people may choose to live their life based off of the opinions and the wants and desires or promotions of other people. And so while I was in jail, I found this relationship with God. And after reading the Breaking the Chains book, I legitimately just started weeping on my bed. I couldn't stop crying. I came to this realization that my life in AA, they say, is unmanageable, right? That's what they tell you in AA. And I was like, man, you know, that's so true. I had never been to an AA, but later on I was like, that's exactly how I felt when I was there. I crawled off my bed, and this brother is over here on his rack, and he's like, you all right, man? And I'm just sobbing, right? I'm just sobbing, right? I'm a grown man in prison, and I'm like, damn it. Let me get in the shower. And so I get in the shower, and the water's just pouring over me, and I find myself just stark naked. If you've ever walked into a porta potty, right? One of those, not even a handicap one, I'm talking about like just a single body porta potty. That's how big these showers were in the county jail that I was in. And I found myself buck naked on the bottom of this shower, begging whatever it was, but in my understanding and belief, this higher power, you know, God, the universe, Mother Nature, however you want to look at it, whatever whatever you associate, and this is how I think, feel, and believe, whatever you associate with something so much more powerful and amazing and greater than you, that is God. If it's, you obviously don't put man above you, because that's not a good, man's never a good God. I would never be a good God. Obama's not a good God. Donald Trump obviously is not a good God. There's no good gods that are mans. There are men who are pretty damn close to being like God, you know what I mean? But we all fail eventually, somehow, some way. We all fall. That's just, it's inevitable. A tree doesn't stand forever, neither does man. So when I look at these things,